The mandate in Taiwan is out. Much to China's opposition, the island has chosen Lai Ching-Te, the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's presidential contestant, now the president-elect, who has stated that the island will defend its autonomy. Beijing, however, has warned Taipei that reunification with Taiwan is inevitable. These are the images from last night of the celebrations outside the DPP's party office. The mood is jubilant. The ruling party is calling it a historic victory. Lai Ching-Te, addressing supporters after his two opponents conceded defeat, thanked the Taiwanese people for writing a new chapter in their democracy, vowing to defend the self-ruled island from Chinese intimidation.
We are telling the international community that between democracy and authoritarianism, we will stand on the side of democracy. Taiwan will continue to walk side by side with democracies from around the world.
Lai, who has been serving as the vice president, delivered an unprecedented third consecutive term for the DPP after his campaigns, in which he pitched himself as a defender of Taiwan's democratic way of life.
Through our actions, the Taiwanese people have successfully resisted efforts from external forces to influence this election. We trust that only the people of Taiwan have the right to choose their president.
Lai has won 40% of the vote through Taiwan's first-past-the-post system. Unlike outgoing President Tsai Ing-wen, who was re-elected by landslide 4 years ago with over 50% of the vote share. And this may hinder Lai and the DPP in passing legislations this term. Well, Beijing has dismissed the outcome of Taiwan's elections. China's Taiwan Affairs Office issued a statement directly after the results were announced, stating that Taiwan's ruling DPP does not represent mainstream public opinion. China maintains reunification with Taiwan remains inevitable. This after comments that branded President-elect Lai Ching-Te as a threat to peace.
我们解决台湾问题，完成国家统一的立场一以贯之，意志坚若磐石。我们将坚持体现一个中国原则的“92共识”，坚决反对台独。
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken congratulated Taiwan's president-elect Lai Ching-Te and hailed the democratic system and electoral procedure of the self-ruled island. The European Union has also welcomed the results of Taiwan's presidential election. While leaving the White House for Camp David, U.S. President Joe Biden stated that the U.S. does not support Taiwanese independence. Biden's statement comes in the wake of previous comments wherein the American president vowed to safeguard the island's de facto independence from China. And to talk more on this, we are now being joined live by Elizabeth Loris, Adjunct Senior Fellow, Pacific Forum, and she's joining us live from Taipei. Thanks very much for taking out time and joining us here on WION, Ms. Loris.
You're welcome.
Now, Taiwan has chosen independence-leaning contestant Lai Ching-Te despite opposition from China. What does this mean for Taiwan, and what are the broader implications of Lai Ching-Te's victory in the Asia-Pacific region?
It means that democracy has spoken. One of the slogans of the DPP at their campaign rally was that the Taiwan people have stood up. And they certainly did in opposition to not too subtle threats from mainland China. And so the Taiwan people, opted to go with a third term with Lai Ching-Te and his running mate, former ambassador to the U.S., Kim Xiao. So the people of Taiwan have chosen experience over the other opposition parties, the two other contenders. It was a three-way race, which made it very exciting, but a little unpredictable. And so they opted to stay the course.
Right, Ms. Loris, like you said that the elections yesterday in Taiwan, it was pitched as a choice between unification and independence, and China still seems to be defined. It says that unification is inevitable. How is Taiwan seeing China's posturing?
Well, the opposition parties, the KMT, their old platform, they've been around for 100 years, has been unification, but only under a democratic China. And so their candidate, Hou You-yi, was not talking about unification. He was talking about talks with the Communist Party and with the Communist government. We will certainly not see that with the DPP. Communist China would not talk with the DPP. They would not talk with outgoing President Tsai Ing-wen. They're certainly not going to talk to her vice president, who is true, about 10 years ago had talked about Taiwan independence. So what we can anticipate is China will put more heat on Taiwan in innumerable ways. We can expect more military jet incursions into Taiwan's aerial defense identification zone, which is not its airspace. It's a bit of a different wicket there. But the other thing is it will try to squeeze Taiwan's diplomatic space by trying to take its remaining diplomatic partners. It will put pressure on Taiwan businesses in China. All of a sudden, their papers will not be in order, and we can expect that they will limit Taiwan exports to China by saying there's a blight on these fruits and vegetables, things like that.
Right, Ms. Loris, you're joining us live from Taipei. Now, while the U.S. has welcomed DPP's victory, Biden says he does not support Taiwan's independence. How is this reaction being received in Taiwan?
Well, they never like to hear a U.S. president so openly and publicly say that. And, it appears that his answer was unprompted. So it's a little awkward. However, it is true that the United States has never said that it is U.S. policy that the U.S. supports an independent Taiwan. Our official policy is a peaceful resolution of the Taiwan issue to be decided between parties on both sides of the Taiwan Strait, indicating that the Taiwan people have a say in their future. It is not up to Xi Jinping, the Communist Party, and any government in China to determine that Taiwan must unify with a Chinese communist government.
Right, Ms. Loris, thanks very much for taking our time and joining us here on WION Sharing Insights.
You're welcome.